Hospital to the medical examiner's office downtown. Many of you were here as we followed that procession, a very heartfelt procession. And now the fallen officer is being transported to Max A. Sass & Sons Funeral Home. That's at 15th and Oklahoma.
All right, let's take a look at the route here. It starts at the medical examiner's office downtown. They're going to cut over to 6th Street, so 9th and Highland goes over from 9th to State Street, and then east on State to 6th Street. So then you see State goes all the way down 6th Street until they hit Oklahoma, and then they're going to cut over. That's where Max A. Sass & Sons Funeral Home is. Again, 15th and Oklahoma. We've got crews all along the route for you. This really, Mary, is a way for many in the city, a chance to say thank you for your service and to honor the police department after the worst case scenario, the worst things you think about when you are a police officer has happened once again in our city.
Exactly. And so many people were hoping and praying that he would pull through this because, again, this happened Thursday night and he was at Freighter for many days. We saw him taken to Freighter. We brought it to you right here on air on Thursday night. And days and days and days we waited. It felt like forever, but you felt like there is a chance, there could be a glimmer of hope that he could pull through after he and his partner were ambushed in an alley on Thursday night there at 25th Street. And it was just so sad to see this come through that he had passed away. We learned about 5:25 on Sunday night that he had passed away. And it was just an outpouring of support ever since there from not only the community members, but of course from his brothers and sisters in blue.
A fighter until the end. We've been talking to family members. That's his grandmother on the screen, we've been told, was by his bedside the entire time when he was at the hospital. Kendall Corder, 32 years old, had been on the Milwaukee Police Force for 6 years. His family says this was his passion. This is something he wanted to do. He grew up in his teenage years in Cudahy, played sports, became a Milwaukee police officer. We were there, as you can see video, when he made that oath to be a police officer. We were there, and he's been doing what he loved. And you are now looking, let's take that live shot full, guys, because here we're seeing this procession. There's a lot of pomp and circumstance to this. This is well orchestrated from the police department. Sadly, this is something they've done before, Mary.
Yeah, they certainly have, and they hadn't done it for a while, for 20 years. And then, suddenly we have seen a number of officer-involved shootings, as of late. And particularly this summer, there has been an uptick in violence. And the community officials, so many activists, community officials have called on the community to help them call things in. They can remain anonymous, but hoping that this summer the violence would swell but a little bit as we've seen this uptick right now. And this, of course, just a devastating scene for so many people in the community, so many of his colleagues, and just so many of his brethren up there seeing this moment. But as you mentioned, this is a chance for so many people to pay their respects, to honor this fallen hero. There is a memorial that continues to grow outside of Milwaukee Police District 2. But many maybe haven't been able to get there yet, not able to get over there. This is a chance for them to pay their respects and let them know, let his family know, Officer Corder, what he meant to them. The fact that he put on that uniform and he did it with really so much enthusiasm and love for the community. That's all he wanted to do, was to be a police officer.
And you're looking at members of the Milwaukee Police Department Honor Guard. These are people, they train for this actually, and different police department funerals. The members of the Honor Guard are there. You're seeing members of the motorcycle unit as well. But there is a color guard along with this Honor Guard. They are in charge of the flag, both the U.S. flag, the state flag, and the city flag. There's also members, part of the rifle squad, who consist of this Honor Guard that will be in the motorcade here. There's a bugler who often plays at the funerals, of course. And then there's a whole detail for the ceremonial Honor Guard here. It consists of a captain, a lieutenant, police sergeants, and police officers, all members from every rank of the police department. And they are going to stay with the officer of this fallen officer until the very end, until the funeral happens and he's laid to rest.
And of course we saw the chaplain there, and there will be obviously people there to comfort, and the chaplain, of course, to pay respect and to give word. There we see there the hearse now leaving, decorated with the American flag, and a reverent scene there as it goes on. It starts the procession in its entirety right now. We'll continue to follow this, but along the way we will see, of course, members of the community, but also members of not only the Milwaukee Police Department, but of the Sheriff's Department and others who have in law enforcement, fire department officials, etc., who are coming to just pay homage to this young man, 32 years old, who was shot last Thursday.
And the fire department oftentimes will go throughout the route and there will be flags placed up, American flags, that this hearse will pass. So again, if you're a member of the community, this is going to go from here downtown. They're going to make their way over to 6th Street. They're going to go south on 6th Street all the way until they hit Oklahoma. Then they're going to turn west. So this is a moment right now. If you would like to pay your respects, you can make your way right now over to 6th Street or Oklahoma, the two best spots, as this motorcade now moves through. As again, they've been there, Mary, from the get-go once they caught word that this officer sadly had passed away over at Frederick Hospital. They led a procession from Frederick Hospital here to the medical examiner's office, and now they're doing the same thing from the medical examiner's office over to the funeral home.
Yes, exactly. And so we have been watching this, of course, and monitoring it. And we also have seen, we don't know if we will see him tonight, but we know that his partner there, Christopher McCrae, who was also shot back on Thursday when they were ambushed. We know that he sustained an injury to his foot, and he was seen at the last procession very briefly, but just came out, of course, to pay his respects, despite recovering. We saw him out there, and it was just a really, really reverent scene. Nice to see him. We don't know if we will see him tonight, but just as a note there.
Just to take you back, everyone, it has been a crazy last few days here in the city of Milwaukee. It really all started Thursday evening, 25th in Garfield. Today we actually got new information about what really led up to all of this, although many questions still remain, as there was a series of fights according to new court documents, and that led to these two police officers being called out. There was reports of a man with a gun, then there was reports of a shooting. And when the officers arrived at 25th and Garfield, they got out of their squad car. They were on their feet. They went to a back alley. And according to prosecutors, this suspect was lying in wait in some bushes, opened fire. These officers had no time to react. And Officer Kendall Corder was struck multiple times. And again, he was transported to the hospital where his family had gathered. He was fighting for several days, but then over the weekend, he passed away. And so it's been a city in mourning ever since, as we are learning more about this officer who took that oath to serve and protect, and did that with his very last breath, out serving the streets of Milwaukee, out just on, again, a call that a lot of police officers respond to, sadly, in our city. Someone with a gun, someone shooting their gun, and now this has ended in the worst possible way.
And the suspect, a 22-year-old Milwaukee man, was taken into custody on Friday morning. His name is Tremaine Jones, and he made his initial court appearance today on Tuesday. He's due back in court for a preliminary hearing on July 9th, and there have been charges to others involved, one including aiding and abetting, if you will, for the time that it took to find him. But at least some justice served there for many, knowing that the suspect, the man allegedly behind the trigger there, was taken into custody, and again making his court appearance today.
So again, this procession is underway. If you're just joining us, for this fallen Milwaukee police officer, they're moving the body of Kendall Corder from the funeral home, from the medical examiner's office to the funeral home on Milwaukee's south side on Oklahoma. Bria Jones joining us outside the medical examiner's office. Bria, you just saw this procession depart, and it was really all about honor and respect.
That is exactly what we saw, Ben. This was about honor, and this is about respecting a fallen hero. We saw them carry the body from the medical examiner's office coming out here towards State Street where they made a left. They are now heading to the funeral home. This is a moment that so many people in Milwaukee were hoping that we would not have to experience. But sadly, after that officer-involved shooting Thursday night, this is where we are. We are now at the funeral procession. They have left from the medical examiner's office. And of course, we have crews, we have other cameras that are following along as they make it all the way to the funeral home. This is, like you said earlier, this is a chance for people to pay their final respects to Officer Kendall Corder. We saw a lot of people just coming down 9th Street over here. Some of them, I saw at least one flag, someone backing the blue, offering support for law enforcement, something that I could see on the faces of the officers that were here. They need this support at this time. So we saw at least a few people riding by, offering support as we all wait for the body to leave here from the medical examiner's office, heading all the way to the funeral home.
Bria, quiet, behind you, but some people are, of course, following that procession. We saw a large output on Sunday as we took the procession there, leaving Frederick Hospital, and so I'm assuming just the same thing today. A lot of emotion on Sunday, and no doubt there'll be a lot of emotion out there tonight.
Yeah, lots of emotion, especially just from the officers that were here. Not too many cars, though, that were actually here. But again, we saw over a dozen motorcycles following along during this procession. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right. Well, Bria will continue to check back. Thank you. Let's go back to that procession route as well. And we do want to mention there, we have this on our Fox Local mobile app. If you would like to help, because so many of you have emailed us and talked to us, there is a QR code for a Fallen Heroes Fund. We'll talk more about that, of course, in the time to come here and on future newscasts. But you can go to our Fox Local mobile app, scan that QR code and contribute, because a lot of you do want to help.
This is about a 15-minute journey from downtown over to Max A. Sass & Sons, the funeral home. Sadly, this is a funeral home that is done this kind of work before. I'm not sure if they have a relationship closely with the police department. That's why they were selected, or with the family. But I've covered this exact route before. So if you want to go out and see the procession and pay your respects to that fallen officer, you need to get out to 6th Street right now. If you know, like the Green Line kind of takes this route exactly. It just goes 6th Street all the way down until it hits Oklahoma. Then they're going to turn west over to the funeral home. Durante Matthews, I know you are at the funeral home right now as this procession is getting closer to you. I don't know if you could can you paint the scene for us if anyone has gathered outside the funeral home right now?
Hey there, Ben. So we're right here in the parking lot of Max A. Sass & Sons Funeral Home, and so far no one has actually gathered into the parking lot other than the members of the honor guard that you've mentioned over there. We got here, I want to say, about half an hour ago, and they were practicing the flag presentation that, of course, they're going to give in full view once the procession makes its way here. But we did see a couple of bystanders maybe over on the corner. They probably noticed that it was starting to get a little crowded here. So that is what we've seen so far when it comes to bystanders. But again, we expect that to really increase, maybe not to the effect that what we saw on Sunday with the procession from Frederick Hospital to the medical examiner's office, but we do expect to see somewhat of a big turnout, especially once that procession makes its way here from the medical examiner's office, where Officer Kendall Corder has unfortunately been since he officially passed away on Sunday. Again, like you guys have been saying, this is the opportunity for folks to show their support, at least for a final time, to thank him for his service in a position that family members tell us he has wanted ever since he was a kid. We even heard in recent released video of him talking about why he loved being a Milwaukee police officer, why he wanted to do it so badly. He mentions, every day is a little bit different, and this gives him an opportunity to help people, and that is what we have been told was his legacy, that of helping people and that of bravery. And unfortunately, it has come to an end. This is something that nobody wanted. While he was in the hospital from Thursday to Sunday, there was just enormous amounts of support and prayers citywide or even county-wide from other places throughout Milwaukee, of people just praying for him to continue his fight that unfortunately came to an end Sunday. And it's leading us here today on Tuesday, once that procession from the medical examiner's office makes its way here. Again, as you see, members of the Honor Guard are there just lining up, waiting for all the cars to come in right now, as are we. We have not heard it as of yet, but again, we know the procession has already started, so we're just here on standby, waiting for everyone to file in.
Yeah, and we will come back to you, of course, once they do file in. We appreciate your report there. We'll check back in just a bit. Durante, thank you for that. These processions, Ben, you and I have covered them. You know, they're a very reverent time, but the emotions are still raw. It's been not quite a week, and Sunday we just saw officers hugging each other. You saw tears on Sunday because of the shock that, you know, this young man had passed away, and, you know, really doing something that he wanted to do. He put his heart into this. He put his life into this. And to see him out on the front lines there and taken in an ambush just like that with no chance at all to even fire back on his weapon, it was just really heartbreaking.
One moment that really stuck with me today, we are out at Police District 2. These were District 2 officers who are working in District 3 due to the coverage that night when this, as the police describe it, an ambush occurred, and we heard from a family member of Peter Jerving. Peter Jerving was a police officer who died in a very similar way, the last police officer to die while on duty here with the Milwaukee Police Department. Today, his brother showed up at Police District 2. Tears in his eyes as all of the pain that they've been dealing with these last few years coming right to the forefront. And sadly, now 6 police officers just in the past several years here have died. All of these families, it was something when it used to be very rare around here in Milwaukee, went over 20 years without an officer being lost on duty, and now it's happened so often in the last several years.
And you kind of saw the similarities between Jerving and Corder in terms of their personalities, both very outgoing young men from what we have heard from their families, and both eager to serve and protect. They were doing something not for the joy of it, or if you will, or not for the prestige or the responsibility beyond, you know, serving the community. They weren't doing it all for the power. They were doing it because they really loved being a police officer, and so that's wonderful. As we were looking at the Guard there, the member of the Guard is to honor and commemorate these fallen officers, and we saw those Honor Guard members there at Peter Jerving's funeral as well, and they really do a beautiful tribute to their at public events, of course, but this is made up of officers, both active, retired, who just want to pay their respects and really serve the men who have fallen, and men or women, in a very dignified way. And
when I see the sites like this, sometimes my thoughts also go with the family of Ku Her. That is a Milwaukee police officer in 2019. Did not die technically while on duty, was killed by a drunk driver right after he clocked off the shift, and he did not get this kind of ceremonial goodbye that many of these other officers have received. So I always think of the family of Ku Her too when we are following a scene like this. But again, this is a moment for the entire city, the entire community. We saw one police officer, a former police officer from Fond du Lac, make the trip down today, drove to District 2. He wanted to lay flowers off and say thank you to the officers inside. It was a former officer who says he lost his partner in a similar way. And when he heard about what happened in Milwaukee, he just needed to come down here and pay his respects. So that is what is happening right now all throughout the city, as we've just seen this outpouring of support now for the police officers, Mary, who've gone right back to work. I mean, the city still needs to be policed. Even in the hours right after this occurred, the officers were still out there on the streets. Yeah,
and we saw many plainclothes officers on Sunday during that procession. And, you know, Ben, to your point of people who can relate to this, funeral plans, official funeral plans are still being made. We don't know those. We will pass them on as soon as we can. However, when you get to that last to the funeral, you'll have officers flying in from around the country, not only from obviously every corner of Wisconsin, but they will come from every corner of our country to pay tribute to this fallen officer that you're looking at right now. Officer Corder will be remembered by many, many men and women who share in their desire in their commitment, in their oath to serve and protect.
If you're just joining us now, this procession is getting much closer now as the body of Kendall Corder, the fallen Milwaukee police officer, it's being moved from the county coroner's office here. Max A. Sass and Sons, this is a funeral home on Oklahoma. That's members of the Milwaukee Police Department Honor Guard as they are getting set to greet this procession as it makes its way here. And the logistics of this, Mary, so difficult for the family. You just mentioned the officers who will be arriving all throughout the Midwest and the country to be there to support this officer and his family. And it does make it a little challenging. You know, when you're planning a funeral, you just can't have it in any church. There are going to be hundreds and hundreds of people who will want to attend this. And obviously the family is getting all the support in the world right now in their preparation. So, yeah, we don't have the funeral service plans just yet. That is currently underway. And obviously this funeral home will be working hand in hand with the family to do that. But it is challenging when you've got this logistics of, again, so many police officers who will be arriving to pay their respects.
Yeah, and they're still grieving. So many of the officers, of course, Ben, as you had mentioned, still have a job to do. And so after hearing this news, many of them had to start their shift right after they heard the news of his passing Sunday night, just after 5 o'clock. Many of them just getting off shift, some coming in, as we saw, presumably on their day off, just in plain clothes to pay respects and line up outside of Frederick Hospital when we saw that procession. And now today, a bit more organized, if you will, but everything is, again, this is a culmination of all the events from Thursday to today, and you see the honor guard there, and we will continue to follow the route, of course, but this is your opportunity, you at home, and for people in the community to really pay their respects. And also, we see a lot of families out there, as we have had, when we've covered these before, if you will, a teachable moment, a time for the kids to learn a lesson about honor, integrity, and what these men and women do to protect our community. And one of the things that the president of the Police Association said is another way you can give back is when you see an officer, hug him or her, give him a handshake, say thank you. When you see an officer in the next couple of days, next couple of weeks, let them know that they're appreciated and we see them and respect them.
You're seeing the arrival of this procession at the funeral home. Let's just listen in as this procession arrives.
uniformed personnel, order, march! Ready, cut. Honor guard, order, march!
An American flag draped over the casket of Kendall Corder, the fallen Milwaukee police officer, and there you see the flags of the state of Wisconsin and the city of Milwaukee, as well communities he served up until the very end.
You have been watching the procession there of Kendall Corder, taken from the Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's office downtown there to the funeral home, Sass & Sons, on the city's south side. And you see there at the end of the procession, standing there along the line, standing in wait, members of the Milwaukee Police Department. You saw the honor guard. You see civilians, people in the neighborhood behind them, coming out to pay respects, some saluting. You see people there with the American flag paying tribute and paying homage to this man who was killed in the line of duty, trying to protect our community, ambushed and shot along with he and his partner, Christopher Cray, on Thursday evening.
And there you see in the back, there's just a couple of people that are out walking their dogs, and this is what this procession has given the city of Milwaukee an opportunity to do. Just take a moment as it passes by to say thank you to the officer and the officer's family and the sacrifice that they have made. As again, here we go, just a solemn moment there. There have been a lot of developments today in this case. The suspect was in court. New fascinating video that our reporters are working on right at this hour, and we're going to bring that all to you tonight in our newscast.
Yeah, as well as some fascinating details about the background of all this. We're going to end our coverage here in the studio, but we are going to continue our coverage on Fox Local as well as have those details for you. But thanks for being with us. So much more to come on this breaking news. We have more coming up, of course, at 9 and 10.
See you then.
Council in a fair